Greetings, digital explorers. So today, we're going to dive into the treasure troves of data files. This is video 8 out of 20 in our beginner series and introduction to AI. Now imagine that these files are ancient scrolls. They're mysterious tomes, and they are magical artifacts that hold the secrets to building powerful AI models. So first, let's jump into it. Let's start with reading and writing files in our basic scrolls. In Python, the built-in open spell actually lets you simply access these types of scrolls. So you'll notice on my screen here that I actually have the preamble. Each of these import lines already contains the necessary libraries that you'll need to handle these different file types. And I mentioned that our most trusty function is this open function. Now you'll notice here as well that I already have written a little text file known as scroll.txt. And what we're going to do is actually run this code now to print it. And then we're going to write a function that allows us to look at how to open it and write a new line into that text file. Finally, I'll then want to print just a subset of the lines in this text file. So let's see how that looks. And there you have it. This is taking a file that is currently a text file and simply printing it out into our Jupyter Notebook. We are entering a magical landscape and learning how to handle files with Starbunny. All right, now I'm going to jump into the next section. Oh, and also don't forget to always close the scroll file to keep its secrets safe. So now let's jump into the world of the CSV files, which we also like to refer to as our tabulated tomes. Now here, I actually found the following CSV and podcat files from a Kaggle link that I'll attach in the comments. And here we actually list the 2023 Fortune 1000 companies with ranks of eligible companies, the revenue generated from core operations, discounted operations, and consolidated subsidiaries. The takeaway message here is that CSV files are like tomes of tables, and the CSV library helps you decipher them. I'm also going to include some code here that allows us to easily sort of open that file, and then we actually get to read each line and print out those rows. We're then going to sample and preview what that looks like, that CSV file here in our Python notebook. And then we're going to actually jump into a new tome, establish some new data where I take a name and an ability, and then I write that into a new CSV file. So we're going to execute this code now. And you'll see that there's a lot of output. The reason why this is occurring is because I had a pretty big CSV file, and I'm actually printing for every single row. So you'll notice kind of quickly, like it says 11, 12, 13. Each of these blocks in the brackets are different rows. So this is kind of excessive, but this tells us that it's working. Now that we've actually studied this, we're going to jump into the next type of file that we're interested in, known as the JSON. We'll treat these as enchanted encyclopedias. And JSON files actually store structured data, much like a sort of magical encyclopedia or grimoire. For those of you who are Harry Potter fans, the grimoire is actually what stored a lot of documents about sort of the fantastical beasts in the Harry Potter universe. Now, this JSON library, which we also installed at the beginning of this notebook, actually lets us converse with these active encyclopedias, these grimoires, and these JSONs. So I've actually also already stored this here with a sample of it, and we're going to print the knowledge that's in this grimoire. We're then going to write into that encyclopedia or grimoire a new set of knowledge. So here I'm going to open up a new grimoire. And here we're going to store information about what a mermaid is, as well as a centaur. And then we're actually going to, again, convert it back from a JSON into a data frame in pandas to then preview. And this is what we'll get. So you'll see here, this is the output of printing our knowledge. We have Starbunny, an elemental, a vampire, and then we actually stored our info from the new grimoire, and then we took head to basically look at the data frame that now contains this new information that we stored, the mermaid and the centaur. Now that we've done that, we're going to jump into data type number 4, which is the streaming podcat. Now, I like to think of Parat files as a sort of compressed codex. And the general idea here is that Parat files are like these codexes or codices. They are compressed and they operate because they are often used in big data. The takeaway message at the beginner level is that there are two libraries, the pandas and the PyArrow libraries, that can help you navigate them. And so here, I've actually already written the script to basically use pandas, read that Parat file that we have. It's the same again, Fortune 1000 companies from 2023. And we're going to use the PyArrow engine to store it into a data frame. We'll then sort of take a head or look at the top section of that data. And then we're going to write data to a new type of codex. So let's run this chunk now. And it's actually good to run into some of these errors. And it's saying that we actually don't have a module named PyArrow. So when you're missing a module, I mentioned this in one of the earlier videos, but this is actually a good sign for us to remember that we should probably import those libraries. And it looks like we can't just simply do this here. So now we have to figure out how to actually import or install PyArrow. And the best policy to do that is actually to, I'm going to move this here, go into your directory. And I'm actually going to jump into it and do pip install PyArrow. And you'll see that we are now installing that package in this environment. Let's see if it works here. And now it actually worked. So now we're going to try this again. I'm going to run this code, and you'll see it thinking, and it looks like it worked. And you might be interested in seeing what the data looks like. So let's actually split it apart and just examine what this data looks like. And here we go. This is our data from the Parat file, just the first sort of 31 columns and the first 5 rows. And so it's promising that tells us that this all worked. And to see if we wrote to a new codex, I'm actually going to just ls in the same directory. And we'll see that actually the new codex Parat, which I declared here, was also generated. And there we have it. We've actually now both learned how to read and to write in the Parat format. You also got to sort of actively decode and realize that, hey, sometimes there are packages that are missing, and you learn how to do that to quickly pip install the required file. Now we're going to handle multimedia, the more exciting and fun part with visual tricks. So let's talk about how we work with these sort of magical mirrors and portraits. So you've got images, videos, and text. And with these types of data, we typically rely on either the OpenCV library, which we also have endearingly named as CV2, and we'll also use the Pillow library, which appeared as import PIL or import pill. So in this case, I'm now going to just execute this code, and we're going to see how this looks. Let's actually clean it up as well. So let's do it first for images, and then second for video, just so that way it doesn't get too congested. So let's see if using image from the pill library will work to demonstrate Star Bunny. And we did indeed get a little pop-up of Star Bunny. So there he is on my shirt, as you can see here. And there he is again as a file. All right, and now let's take a look at let's see if we can run this doc video using OpenCV2. Let's check it out. And you'll see that actually the first frame was extracted, although it doesn't actually run the whole video. This is the first frame of the doc video. All right, so now let's see how we could actually display these images in a manner that is more lasting. So actually, let's split it up again, just so the way they don't get confused or overload on each other. So when I embed display image here, it's thinking, and let's see if we can actually render this. All right, so that is not running, so let's just break that. Maybe we won't run display. Let's actually clear this cell. We'll interrupt that kernel. Let's try running just the video and embed it. Let's see how this looks. All right, it looks like something got hung up. So let's see. I have a suspicion. It might be because, hang on, let's pause this. Okay, so we just went through how to actually preview Starbunny the image, and now we're going to click on how to preview and display the underlying video. So first, let's just complete this. For those of you who are still following, we had to quickly debug a little issue we had. But this is, again, to repeat our successful Starbunny visual that completed. And now what we're going to try and do is actually embed our duck video in HTML. So let's see if we can first just display Starbunny in line. This was a success. So display image invokes, again, the pillow library to put it into your Python notebook. And now we're going to just try and embed the video here. So let's see if this works. And there you have it. When you click on it, our beautiful taxidermy duck shows up. All right. With these additions, you now have the power to not only import various data types, but also you got to see a sneak peek at their contents right within your Jupyter Notebook. You all even got a chance to see Starbunny, our mascot, for this beginner series on AI. You've journeyed through Python's file handling catacombs, deciphering ancient scrolls as text. You've tabulated tomes as CVs, grimoires and encyclopedias as JSONs. You've compressed codexes or codices as Parat Files, and even peered into magical mirrors for images of Starbunny and videos of a taxidermy duck. This is video 8 out of 20 in our beginner series and introduction to AI. By the end of the series, you'll be ready to learn more advanced concepts of AI and machine learning, which will allow you to elevate your career in tech and remain in demand in the job market. Remember, the best way to get better at this craft is to experiment. So I recommend that you start playing with these code blocks, and soon you'll be casting spells you never knew how to handle. In no time, you'll be ready to unearth AI's deepest secrets and craft spells of your own.